You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now, politics is typically regarded as a space for politically experienced persons, but many young people are often disregarded due to lack of experience. The 2023 election is in less than a year. Many young people are beginning to vie for positions to ensure they are heard. While young people are seen as the leaders of tomorrow, the need to enhance the participation of youths in political and decision-making has become more urgent now than ever. So let's talk about this by speaking with artificial intelligence consultant Abiodun Abari. Thank you so much for being on TVC Breakfast this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So, and we also have an APC Scandinavia, Lawal Ayola. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So let me talk to you. Let me start by talking to you, Abiodun.
Okay.
How imperative is it for the youth to be part of decision making in this country?
Let's take it from the point of view of a population. You reckon that the youth actually form the largest part of the population in any society. So, and when you talk about population, you also talk about representation. So definitely, when you look at it from the point of view of population, the youth, they need a voice. They need their representation. So, so it's quite important that the youth are active in politics, so that their interests, politics basically interest articulation and aggregation, so that their interests can be well articulated and aggregated, and they can have their own fair share of things, as it were.
Yeah, is the only criteria which you mentioned, population, is that the only criteria?
Well, like I said, interest matter, okay? And when you talk about interest has to do with the whole gamut of what concerns the youth, in terms of is it the social amenities, talk about education, talk about health, everything that affects the human being, talk about their career, them having what we call an appreciable standard of living. I mean, them having a reason there, them having something to say, okay, yes, life is worth living for, and we have people that are also ambitious. So politics can also be like a platform where the youth can actually actualize, their ambitions in life, and they can put all this together, and of course they can provide leadership. I mean, history is awash with a lot of youth that have absolutely done well in leadership, in politics, So.
All right, so let me come to you, Lawal Ayola. We know that 70% of this country is, youth make up the 70% of this country, and then some of them are being represented in governance and are being given appointments and all that. But how much of representations do you think they've had since democracy?
Well, basically, we all know the truth, and the truth are there. Well, the youth have not been given the critical decision-making positions. There have been PAs, there have been SSA and all that, but they have not really been on the table to really, be part of the pillars that take the decisions that affect their lives.
So would you now say that it's very important that we allow the youth to participate more in governance come 2023? And how many youth are already coming out to vie for elected positions?
Well, we have a lot of them trying to get into the terrain, right. And a lot of them have been coming out, but it has been dictated not by the youth themselves, but who becomes what has been dictated by the godfathers. Unfortunately, we have not been having the best of the best to represent the youth in the league of in the settings.
The concept of godfatherism is also something that we've always, talked about we talk about it oftentimes each time we look at political issues in this country. Is it easy for people to break away from, the concept of godfatherism? And how, if they want to?
Well, we know it's not quite easy because these godfathers, they've got the financial muscularity, to dictate the tones. And most of the people, unfortunately, we don't have most of the educated youth joining the political parties. Most of the people at the grassroots where things are being dictated are not, most of them are not youths. They are either artisans or jobless people that are not well educated, or retirees that have given up. And they're being controlled by these godfathers, you know. And now most of the youth have taken it for granted because they are not really educated. You know, the government have not really educated them, and also the parastatals that are responsible for informing and enlightening them about the rules, you know, and also the curriculum, you know, has not been designed to really enlighten most of this.
I'm not sure whether, because, you know, most of us when we were in school, I'll definitely come to you, but then I just wanted to clarify the point that you raised, that the government has not really educated the youth. We all attended schools different, in different ways, and we know there are some people that are called trons. They don't stay in classrooms. Each time classes we're supposed to hold, they run out of the classroom, you find it somewhere else. Are you blaming that on the government as well?
Of course. Unfortunately, I went to Model College. Such a thing, I never experienced such, because the way the school was organized and formed. You know, everything depends on, most of these we're talking about people getting out of school, depends on the structure and the policies being put in place. You can't, basically you always have those that will always run out of the class, but when everything is well structured, well designed, it's quite hard, you know, to see such happen in a very organized settings like model colleges.
All right, let me come to you, Abiodun. In 2020, we saw a massive movement, from among the youth, the End SARS protest. We saw the way they were able to organize themselves, took care of themselves, and formed that kind of alliance among themselves to drive home that demand, which was eventually acceded to. But how would you describe this category of people who are mainly netizens? They are soldiers more on the internet. Talk about Twitter today. The youth abound in Nigeria. So what has been your observation about these, and how can they translate this into leadership?
Oh, thank you very much. I believe leadership or politics is something that has to be learned, just like every field of endeavor. So it's always advisable that all these energies, all these agitations, are channeled positively towards some goal, and it has to be well articulated in terms of tutelage, So, and when you talk about politics or leadership, it has to go through some sort of mentorship, So I think they are better off getting into political parties, maybe at the world level, at the local government level, taking up positions, maybe youth leaders and even chairmanship of because basically decisions are being implemented at the world. Politics is from the top, but everyone has a word, even if we are the president.
Governance is grassroots.
Grassroots, exactly. So when they get into political parties, at the world level, then they learn the art, they learn the arts of politics. So then they know how to actually translate all this agitation, all this exuberance, into useful politics, that will now make them better off, because at the end of the day, it's like, making all noise and, having little results, and the youths, just like women, are a disadvantaged group, like he said, talk about the financial muscle, which is usually absent, among the youth, and even the experience too, like you rightly mentioned. Those are things that make the youth a disadvantaged group. So in bridging that gap, of knowledge and experience as it concerns actually achieving political or leadership objectives, I think that tutelage, that has to be there. They have to go to that mentorship, so that they can actually make good use of their exuberance.
All right, Lawalayola, well, you've been around for a long time, talking about being on this earth for a long time, so I believe. But then looking at the up-and-coming youth, and I'm not sure how much you make use of Twitter, but if you ever get on Twitter and you make a post, you see that Nigerian youth are so many, and they are more than likely to disrespect you if you don't say things that resonate with them. They don't care who you are. They don't care your age. They can easily lambaste you as much as they can. Are you optimistic that the crop of youth that we have today, especially the netizens, the soldiers on the internet, are they're fit to govern this country?
Of course. I 1,000% believe in them. 1,000%. But something is quite wrong that we need to get right. This negative sublimation that you're talking about, we could make it a positive one. And in so doing, Nigeria is going to be one of the greatest countries on earth already. Unfortunately, it's the leadership and the way our curriculum has been designed. Unfortunately, I discovered something in my little life so far. I went to one of the best schools in this country, and I've lived for several years in a very developed country, a full democracy. And the part of the culture that tends to say, oh, you're a child, you're a youth, you cannot say this, you cannot say that. Our older people, our elders tends to know it all. We don't have a voice, basically, in most homes. Most of the youth don't have voice. And now there's a platform somewhere I've given them the opportunity to express themselves, what has been bottled in. Yeah, they will do it. In developed world like the Scandinavia, whereby the freedom of speech, the right of press are the part of the core pillars of their constitution. You've been given the chance to express your mind, whether right or wrong. But when you bottle, when your ideas have been bottled in, you don't have a voice, and you've gotten a platform for you to express yourself. Of course, you might misuse it often. However, it can still be corrected.
How worried are you? Because currently Nigeria is faced with different security challenges, kidnapping, banditry, terrorism here and there, and majority of these perpetrators are said to be youth, used by whoever is using them. So if we have this category of people, what do you think can be done to ensure that our youth are better, well represented, and they are utilized for the development of this country rather than the destruction of Nigeria?
That's a very good question, and I wish and I hope the authorities are watching this program. I have to be clear to them that what is happening now, we have to go back to the cause. Why are they engaging? Why are the youth being used? What is their issues? What are their issues? What needs to be corrected? What do they need? What are their needs? Basically, when they are not employed, they're there out there, nothing to do, and even the people that are working, their take-home pay is not enough to take them home, and maybe you are getting 30,000 minimum wage, and you could see someone that could offer you 500,000 at a go and all that. We have to be real with ourselves. They will. But if we have a proper policy, a reorientation, and everything right, I think the level of that, the volume of the people getting involved will be reduced. And also, these youth we are talking about are being used by most of our leaders. They're being used as talks for their election and gaining power and retaining power. We all know it, but we just have to be clear to ourselves and tell the truth to the power that enough is enough.
Right. So Abiodun, a lot of people they've actually said that those in power, not everyone in power really, the corrupt people in power are just, and those who are outside are also corrupt. They're just products of the society. So it's just like corrupt people outside waiting for the corrupt people who are in power to leave so that they get in and, we've seen all of these things too, this kind of mindset among the youth. But that is not saying that a lot of members of the youth are not, they are not upright. They are actually upright, doing so well. So what would you say to this? And, come 2023 elections, we need someone who represents the youth, isn't it?
I understand you. Basically, you're talking of what is cultural to us. And whatever the culture you want to talk about, I still believe that leaders are still more responsible for shaping and reshaping culture than followers, because leaders are more equipped to shape culture and reshape culture, than followers. Okay, and you are right when you say what we have in political leadership is a microcosm of the larger society. Absolutely. And whatever you see, when you talk about making the desired change or having the positive impact, we don't need a whole lot of people, just need one person. Like in Nigeria, just one person is enough to change Nigeria. Just one person. Yeah. Okay. Imagine if like the gentleman at JAM. Imagine if he's the IG of police. Don't you think the police force will change positively?
So
I mean, you see that the budget will trickle down. You know, you see that whatever is meant for accommodation will get to the bottom. Whatever is meant for, I'm not asserting that the person there is not doing right. I'm just saying that just one person is enough to change an institution. Just one person is enough to change the whole of Nigeria, and it will shape culture because he decides where the resources will go. You know, and he uses these resources, you know, based on the political culture he wants to impart, that he wants to leave as a legacy, you know, and people will key in. People will key in. So I still believe that it is the leadership, you know, that is more responsible for whatever political culture that we have. And if someone is going to rise up, you know, from among the youths, you know, and have that kind of the wherewithal, okay, to be able to implement that change, you know, I think people will key in. We just need one person.
Absolutely. Thank you very kindly. Your final thoughts, just very less than 30 seconds, you know, as regards youth participation in politics, especially this 2023 that is really around the corner.
Well, my final thought for the youth is that they should get involved. Go to the grassroots, get involved from the ward level. Because whoever the parties, the political parties present are who you're going to vote for. It's not really your PVC that matters first. It's your political party cards that matters first. You should be, then you'll be able to be part of the people that are going to pick the candidate that the party is going to present.
So for you to make meaningful change, join the political party, get your PVC.
Exactly. In addition to that, your PVC is very critical because it's not just to elect, you can use it in recalling. And if you don't vote, you cannot be part of the people that can recall. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Abiodun, Artificial Intelligence Consultant Abiodun Abari, thank you so much. It's good to have you. And also, Chairman, APC Scandinavia, Lawal Ayola, thank you so much for coming to TVC.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you guys.
Same here.